let's move on to the second last one, number 9 of the top 10 trends of the 2020s. Number 9, where we're going to talk about the falling fourth estate. Fourth estate, of course, is newspapers and television. And people are getting news less and less from newspapers and television. The percentage you get news from television has dropped from around 80% to around 50% of the people. And print from around 50% to just 15% now in the last 20 years. That's a huge decline, a huge change.
Yeah, so this is, like, I think this trend is well understood, that we're seeing the decline of the traditional media, but that it just continues unrelenting, it's accelerating. I think that is something which, we will keep on have to adjust our business models to. So this is what's really going on. And again, the important implication of this is that it's giving way to what Mark Zuckerberg, of all people, calls, obviously, the rise of the fifth estate.
Fifth estate.
Which is that we've seen such
online.
Online, social media. And he calls it the fifth estate because there's such decentralization now of news dissemination, that it no longer now is about who controls it. Anybody with a Twitter account becomes an opinion person. Anybody on Facebook and Instagram is able to sort of communicate and visualize what they're feeling.
Huge democratization
of the news.
Spreading of news. Like if you're good, and we have so many, even in India, that are individuals who are doing so well. Dhruv Rathi, for example.
That's right.
Amazing. Now, so the rise of the fifth estate, just have a look at that. Fifth estate meaning online news, getting your news from online sources. This is what it looks like. In USA, percentage you get their news online used to be 12%, it's now 52% getting their news online predominantly.
Yes. And the same trend is happening across the world. As we'll see in emerging markets too, such as India, that we're seeing a much greater increase now in people who are...
Let's have a look at India. This is the data that Ruchir has researched and found about India. What percentage are now getting news online versus newspapers and television? Young India in particular gets their news online. Percentage of Indians under 35 years of age who get their news online rather than television and radio, 56%. And look at it for print, 16%. People are now, youngsters are not reading newspapers, and television, 26%. Now I want to make a very strong statement here. NDTV is the fifth estate. Organization. We are moving completely digital. We have been doing for the last year or 2 years. And .com, you're right, is growing rapidly with 200 million unique users. Sorry, a little bit of advertising. But I'm just saying, we are just part of the Indian trend.
Yes, that's right. And I think that this is something which is going to accelerate with the generational change as we spoke about. So that really is the common theme of the top trends, which are the generational trends as to how they're shifting and shaping consumer habits.
And Twitter in particular you focused on for a while. And look at how Twitter users, how many of them actually use Twitter to get news is amazing, and how it's rising. It's a rising source of news, Twitter. The percentage of users, Twitter users who get their news from Twitter, 52% in 2013, just 6 or 7 years ago, 59% in 2016, and in 2018, 71%. That is amazing that Twitter is predominantly now being used for news.
Yeah, that these are people who are getting the news primarily from Twitter, in fact. So I think that this is something
I mean, they go to Twitter for news, not really for chatting with others or finding gossip on it. News.
That's right, yeah. I think that you will see that even amongst all fellow journalists and stuff, that's become the main source
and fellow
of news.
presidents like President Trump. You know. He's transformed Twitter for news or non-news or alternative facts, sorry.
Yes. Alt news.
So now let's let's have a look at the 9th in the top 10 trends of the 2020s. The fifth estate, that's online, rules in the 2020s. That is a big change. And amongst that, gaming again, it's part of that same kind of phenomenon.
Yeah.
More democratization, more worrying. There are worrying aspects to it, of course, online. Curation. But you say curation is coming back a bit.
Yes, I think that...
Curation meaning people are... Explain what you mean by curation.
Right. So what we've seen over the past decade is proliferation. So much of data, so much of news, which is hitting you. I think that we're seeing a trend now of much more curation, where people are, and this is being facilitated by artificial intelligence, AI and stuff, that people now sort of want to be told what exactly to read, how to curate stuff. I think that the trend is taking place, and we're seeing a lot of tech development take place towards that, because there's just so much data around the world. In fact, a bulk of that has happened in the last couple of years. So I think that this is the new trend now on curation.